I never planned to come back home. Not after the way I left, not after the things that were said when I chose a path no one in my family respected. But when my grandmother turned 75, my mother called and said, just show up for once. So I did. I'm Ethan. I'm 31, and this was my first time back in that house in 8 years. The same house where I was told success only counted if it looked like everyone else's. The driveway was full when I arrived. Luxury SUVs, new money confidence. I parked my dusty rental down the street and walked in with a wrapped gift and a fake smile. Inside, it was loud. Laughter, clinking glasses, stories I wasn't part of. And right in the center of it all was my cousin Mark, the pride of the family, MBA, corporate job, engagement ring flashing. My mom spotted me and did that tight smile parents do when they're not sure whether to be proud or embarrassed. You made it, she said. No hug, just an observation. For the first half hour, I stayed invisible. That's a skill you learn early when you're the disappointment. I refilled drinks, complimented the food, listened to Mark explain his bonus structure to anyone who would listen. Then someone asked the question I knew was coming. So, Ethan, Mark said loudly, grinning, what are you doing these days? The room leaned in. I said it calmly. I run a small consulting firm. He laughed, actually laughed. Consulting? Like freelance stuff? My aunt joined in. Is that stable? You know, Mark just bought a place. My mom didn't defend me. She just stared at the table. I shrugged. It pays the bills. Mark lifted his glass. Hey, as long as you're happy, right? The tone said everything else. Then it happened. My Uncle Frank, 3 whiskeys deep and always looking for entertainment, said, didn't Ethan drop out of law school? Silence. Every eye on me. I didn't drop out. I left, but explaining that never mattered. Mark smirked. Yeah, that was bold. I felt that familiar heat in my chest, the one that used to turn into anger. This time, it didn't. I smiled. Yeah, best decision I ever made. That's when my phone buzzed. I ignored it. Buzzed again. I stepped outside to take the call. Ethan, it's Rachel from NorthPoint, the voice said. Sorry to bother you on a weekend, but the board needs confirmation. Are you still okay to finalize the acquisition Monday? I looked through the window, saw Mark pantomiming my freelance life to a small audience. Yes, I said. Everything's ready. Great, she replied. Just need your signature. This puts the valuation at just over 48 million. I hung up and stood there for a second, breathing. Not because I was nervous, because I knew what walking back inside meant. I went back in. Mark was mid-sentence. Some people just aren't built for traditional success, he said, glancing at me. They want freedom more than security. I interrupted him gently. Mark, can I ask you something? He turned, surprised. Sure. You said you just bought a place. That's awesome. What was it, like $1 million? A few impressed murmurs. He nodded proudly. Just under. I nodded. Congrats. That's huge. Then my aunt said, Ethan, why do you ask? I pulled out my phone, not to brag, just to end it. Because I'm closing on an office building next week, I said, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't underestimating property taxes. The room froze. Mark laughed again, but this time it cracked. An office building? Yeah, I said. Downtown. Mixed use. 12 floors. My mom finally looked up. Ethan, she said slowly, what did that woman on the phone mean by 48 million? I hadn't planned to answer that. I hadn't planned any of this. But every conversation, every dismissal, every quiet dinner where my name was followed by concern instead of pride, it all sat right there between us. I said, that's the company's valuation after the acquisition. No one spoke. My grandmother, who hadn't said much all night, looked at me and smiled. You always were smart, she said. Mark's fiancée squeezed his arm hard. My Uncle Frank opened his mouth, then closed it. And my mom started crying, saying my name like she was trying to remember how to say it properly. That's when Mark pulled me aside, his voice low, tight. Why didn't you ever tell us? I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time I realized I didn't owe him an explanation. I said, you never asked. He scoffed. That's not fair. I leaned closer. Neither was this family. That's when my phone buzzed again. Another call. This one labeled private number. I glanced at it, then back at Mark, because I already knew answering it would change the rest of the night in a way none of them were ready for. And I had to decide if I was done being quiet, or if I was about to say something that couldn't be taken back. Full video on channel link below.